Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this Durbanites FPL GW19 Game Week 20 preview. So let's start at the table. Up at the top, Mohamed Sadiq entering his second week as the leader, but Zakia now passing Azra closely to take on the second spot. It's very tight in the top four. Anyone could jump at any time after a good week by Fatih as well. Then fairly settled but close in midfield, and then Mubin having a great week to jump up from 9 to reclaim 8th spot. Now, looking at the player selections, not much has changed on the staples, but looking at the differentiators, Chris Wood and Hee-Chan Huang having a great week, as well as Alejandro Garnacho, owned by very few people, 17, 14, and 14 points there, and Alphonse Areola, only owned by two, picking up 10 points, but also being on the bench this week. Now, looking at the hits and misses, two hits to call out. Mop's having a great time here, not making any changes this week, but getting saved by his team to score the highest points total this week. And then those that backed Alejandro Garnacho having a good one. So Mobs and Zaks, well done on getting 14 points. Not many glaring misses this week, so we'll leave that blank. Now, looking at the best possible selection, this is our team based on our lineup. Really looking at good points here. Looking at about 103 from this team and 126 including the bench at a total cost of 89.5. A very affordable team. Jumping into the game week preview. So Newcastle have a tough one. They've had a few bad results going their way. Eddie Howe is now being spoken about as possibly the next sacking, and now they start the second half of the season with the same horrible lineup that they had to start off. Liverpool, Manchester City, and Aston Villa in the next 3 weeks is very tough, especially with Nick Pope out, Anderson, Barnes all still out. No picks this week. Now, looking at Nottingham Forest, they've still got Sergio here and Awani out, but Ilanga, Gibbs, White, and now including Chris Wood, who's had back-to-back great game weeks. They go up against Manchester United. Not sure how that will work out given the form of Manchester United, but those are the guys who are going to get you points if any. Looking at Bournemouth, who are the informed team in the league at this moment in time, 4 wins out of 4, but now heading into some tough fixtures against Spurs, Liverpool, and West Ham. Still, considering their form and considering the form of their opponents, you're looking at Tavernier, Billings, and Solanke as possible routes to points, as well as Semenyo as well if you want to take him on. But those are the three that I favor. Looking at Fulham, they are still having some trouble. Not a good run of results and not a good run of fixtures coming up ahead. Williams now doubtful, might not be able to play, and he's one of the two players that is consistently picking up points, so just be cautious on this one. Looking at Sheffield United versus Luton, this bottom of the table battle was heated. Sheffield United quite unlikely to go down to 2 own goals. Now they have some injury and suspension issues as well. Ahmed Zozic is out suspended. McAtee's club locked because he is from Manchester City, so cannot play against them. And Gustavo Hamer has picked up an injury. So no picks from Sheffield United against Man City this week. Looking at Luton, not a lot of major injuries except for Tony Lockyer with his heart problem. But look at Andros Townsend, Ross Barkley, and Carlton Morris to put up some points, if anyone, against a Chelsea team that sometimes struggles with consistency. Then we look at Burnley Liverpool, so no surprises on the result. Kolyosho is still out from Burnley, but otherwise no other noticeable misses. We're looking at Odobert and Foster as the two that might be able to get some kind of points, if not a result, against Aston Villa this week. The League and Liverpool, they're looking strong at the top of the table. McAllister's still out, but making his way back. He might play, but right now that's the latest that we have. Tsimikas is definitely out for a couple of weeks. Now you've got Mo Salah, who's consistently been performing. Trent is also doing really well out of that defensive position, but super expensive picks. Diogo Jota came back with a goal, and Luis Diaz is also contributing. These are the picks for the week coming up ahead, but a game against Newcastle is super tough. Now looking at Manchester United Villa, this was a bit of an upset. Villa have knocked out two major contenders, then go down to Manchester United, who are still struggling with injuries, as you can see. The picks from there would be Bruno Fernandes and Christian Eriksen from attacking flair, but also cannot go without Alejandro Garnacho, who's really showing some class now and could get a few more goals against Forest and Wolverhampton Wanderers coming up. Now, looking at Aston Villa, they only have Digne, who might be doubtful, but otherwise a full-strength team. They will be looking to put some hurt on Burnley this week, and our picks here: Watkins, Luis, Diaby, Bailey, and McGinn, all of whom been scoring consistently for Aston Villa. Now, looking at Brentford Wolves, Brentford are also having some issues. Key players like Mbeumo, Skada, and Ivan Toney, who's also suspended until the 14th of January, not making easy going for them. But Jon Wissers did pick up a goal, so you can get him for some points. And Matthias Jensen is back for his dead ball duties. So those are possibly the guys that can get them points against Crystal Palace. Looking at Wolves' good result this week, Everton coming up next week, they could do the same, but Chan, who's been consistently the guy who's giving them points, is now doubtful, but he's still the pick if he's going to play, with Neto coming back from injury and Cunha also doing really well week on week. Now, looking at Chelsea Crystal Palace, Chelsea did get the win, but they have some injuries of their own. Robert Sanchez, Reece James, Ben Chilwell, and Enzo Fernandez all out this week. My picks here are Raheem Sterling and Cole Palmer, both coming back out of suspension, as well as Chris Nkunku, who I think is due to give us some good games. Chelsea have two good fixtures before they meet Liverpool in game week 22. Now, looking at Crystal Palace, they have their first choice keeper doubtful, so Johnston is still not available, and Edward is definitely out. They are still capable of getting goals using Olise, Ayew, and Eze in midfield. Looking at Everton Man City, so Everton will be quite disappointed after going ahead to lose this one. Doucouré might be making his way back, although he's still doubtful, and Dwight McNeil is always contributing, so one to watch. They have Wolves this week, could be a good one to get a few points. Looking at Manchester City, really good comeback from them. They're having some injury issues. Jeremy Doku is still doubtful, but if he plays, he's definitely a pick. Kevin De Bruyne is in training consistently, and look at him to make a comeback. And let's see how Fantasy Premier League managers might manage that once he's back. Erling Haaland is for sure out this week, so that's going to be a big change for managers on whether to keep him or sell. But looking at where you could get points from in this game against Sheffield United, which should be an easy win, Bernardo Silva is now tied Cristiano Ronaldo's assist record in the league overall, so he's a good one to pick. Jeremy Doku, if he's able to play, would be really impactful. Phil Foden has been getting a good run in midfield, and Julian Alvarez will be the point man for goals. Looking at Brighton and Tottenham, this was a bit of an upset as well. Brighton not having the easiest time, even with all the injuries they had last week. They managed to get a win. Mitoma's out this week as well, joining the rest of the crew from last week. But Purvis Stupiner made a great comeback into the team after a long injury, scoring a goal as well in this win. Pascal Gross is always a threat, and Gilberto now coming back with his penalty duty, scoring 2 last week as well as 1 assist. Well worth a look. Now, looking at Spurs going ahead, they have one good game week before a few challenging fixtures, but they definitely have an issue with getting the results out. A lot of injuries there in midfield and defense. Madison might be back against Manchester United, but now Kulusevski is out, so it's going to be a tough game for them against Bournemouth, who are again in terrific form. Pedro Porro seems to be picking up the points regardless of conceding goals, and then Heung-min Son is one that you can never avoid, and Richarlison's been doing really well in the last few weeks. Now, looking at Arsenal and West Ham, this was the last game of the week and also quite a big upset. Arsenal losing at home, even though the only injury that they have that's impacting them is Tomiyasu. But this week, they now start the second half of the season with 3 favourable fixtures. So look at Saka and Odegaard to get within the points. Also possible to look at Gabi Jesus, Eddie and Ketia to try and get in on scoring. For West Ham, they'll pick themselves up after this big win, look to go after Brighton. Lucas Paqueta is now doubtful, so just watch out for him, and Antonio is out. But you've got Kufel, Bowen, Ward-Prowse, all of them consistently. Jared Bowen is on an insanely good season. Mohamed Kudus is midfielder playing as a striker and scoring a lot of goals, but beware, AFCON starts in game week 21 and he will only play this week. This will be the last week that he will play until he's back from that tournament. So if you bring him in, it's going to be a short-term game. Looking at the fixture rating, looking at the next 3 weeks, you want to be stocking up on players from Arsenal, Aston Villa, possibly Chelsea and Brentford. Manchester City, with a little bit of substitution, can help. And then look at Brighton and West Ham for the longer term. And then looking at some favorites that you might want to drop. Liverpool are now heading into a bit of a challenging few fixtures, so you might want to look at their players carefully, as well as Newcastle. Their form and their fixtures both speak against them. For the diehards, they might still give you points, but it is going to be close. Bournemouth have had good a good run so far, but now going into some very testing fixtures, so just be cautious on that, as is Crystal Palace and Spurs as well. Guys, that's a wrap up for this week. We're going to have game week 20 and then a bit of a break until game week 21. But hope you're still enjoying the new format. Don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment, and good luck for the week ahead.